Well, I think every once in a while it is due time to check in on the Trump supporters on the ground at events. And because I haven't been going to events, we're going to look at the Good Liars content, and they do great work talking to people, often Trump supporters, and capturing the wild stuff that leaves their mouths. So we'll start here with a really funny interaction where this Trump supporter really wants you to know that he's not gay. He's not gay. Stop it. He's not gay. And the interviewer, Jason, does a really good job of emphasizing maybe how he has some contradictory stances.
Why are you forcing your lifestyle over on me?
Who's forcing you to be gay?
Joe Biden and his crew.
Joe Biden's forcing you to be gay?
No, not forcing me. Make sure you get that right. I ain't gay and ain't got nothing to do with it, okay? Don't ask me.
No, but I thought you were saying he's forcing you. He's forcing you to be gay, or he's forcing you to be what's he forcing?
The whole party is forcing their lifestyle over onto us. Period.
Nobody's forcing you to be gay. It's just so people can live the life how they want to live without persecution.
They are putting in schools, in our education for our children, okay?
Yeah.
That it's okay to be that way, and it's not. But it's ungodly. Period.
But you're saying like...
Period. There's no answer. There's no more question to that. Period.
Because in Leviticus...
It's ungodly, friend.
Okay. So in the Bible, in Leviticus, it says, if a man lives with a man, he should be put to death.
Also... You be careful, okay?
Also in Leviticus...
We're going to go to eternity, and we're going to answer for all this right here.
I look forward to it.
Right.
Also in Leviticus, it says, if you spill your seed, you need to give 2 turtle doves to a pastor or priest. Spill your seed meaning ejaculate. Have you given turtle doves to priests or pastors like it says in the Bible?
No.
You haven't?
No.
Left stunned and speechless. Now, I do think that, because that didn't sound exactly correct, so I quickly looked into it. I could be wrong, but I think that might be a incorrect telling, sort of merging 2 stories from Leviticus. But the point stands, which is that this guy standing there has not abided by a bunch of the things that the Bible demands, and then is willing to be super passionate about this one issue and make that a big problem, but is perfectly fine with accepting other sorts of things that the Bible prohibits. And so the point still stands, even though I do think that's a merging of 2 anecdotes from Leviticus. But then we get to this.
You have a construction helmet on right there?
Yeah, I work construction, yep.
Does it bother you that Trump famously didn't pay a lot of his construction employees?
Who?
In Atlantic City, a lot of the people who worked on his casinos, people lost their livelihoods.
Says who?
The people.
It's just known people?
It is a known thing, yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm sure they deserved it.
Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Yeah, you do see this a lot with Trump supporters who it's sort of my conclusion is Trump is incredible. However we have to get there in this conversation is fine. But the conclusion, no matter what, is going to be Trump's incredible. And so instead of making sure that all of your principles, like not violating your obligation to pay people and not treating your workers well, and all the reasons that Trump is a horrible candidate last time, trying to end our democratic process, having openly authoritarian ambitions, etc. Instead of actually building a framework for why you support someone based on all these principles that you have and how that person best embodies them, or maybe doesn't much, but is just the better of the 2 options, or whatever. It being about the issues and the policies, and then that points you toward the person that you should support. Instead, it's Trump's the guy, I support him. Whatever you throw at me, don't worry, I'm going to have an answer, because I know I got to get back to Trump's the guy and I support him. And that makes it really hard to have those conversations where you could pose something that we all would agree is bad, right? You have an obligation to pay somebody and then you don't. Yes, that would be bad and low character, but because the conclusion's already there and set in stone, it's hard to move them. Here's someone saying they would like the idea of Trump being a dictator.
How would you feel about him being a dictator?
I probably wouldn't be pissed about that at all.
You'd be okay with Trump being a dictator?
I'd be okay with it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would prefer that they are that honest about their views, because if you believe that, at least let us know you believe that. But sometimes I do think to myself, even if you are feeling that way, which is crazy, it's so strange when people are willing to say that. I would just love Trump as a dictator. I mean, I know you're filming me right now, and I know how people are going to perceive this, but let me just tell you, that's awesome. Which is one of the most un-American things you can say, of course. And that's what we're seeing. And this is something that I've shown you all similar instances of from conversations that I've had with Trump supporters, where there is this fondness to the idea of an authoritarian strongman, and Trump being the person who fulfills that role is really exciting to a lot of people. And it's why we are keeping such a close eye on the authoritarian ambitions of MAGA, because it's there. And Trump shows that. And then the GOP's support for Trump, regardless of if you had these sorts of anecdotes, shows their willingness to go along with someone based on his track record who is not for democracy. But some people are willing to say it explicitly.
Doesn't matter what he does, I'm going to vote for him.
It really doesn't matter what he does.
Doesn't matter what he does, and I assume a lot of this crowd can agree with me.
Yeah. Well, what if he had a political opponent killed, like his lawyer said, that he would be immune from?
Voting for Trump.
Still voting for Trump, even if he had a political opponent killed?
I'll make it clear for you. I don't care what he does. I'm voting for Trump, and I think majority of this line is too.
Even if he had a political opponent killed?
Absolutely. Doesn't matter. I'm voting for Trump.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. And I do want to say again, sometimes I think people assume, okay, but that's 1 in a million. I think we need to calibrate ourselves and understand that, again, as someone who's gone for this exact purpose to talk to people on camera and seen what percentage of them are saying crazy caliber stuff, it's not just a 1 in a million situation. And I've told you all before that when I put together the segments for my channel, they're not all that crazy. You know, the clips aren't all that absurd, but I'll get like 10 interviews and show clips from 9 of them or something. And the 10th is just because the person was sort of awkward or didn't want to talk much. And so it's not like you have to go and just pluck one little crazy incident out of a bunch of reasonableness. There's a lot of back-to-back absurdity, and that's the scary part of it. But yeah, I do think a lot of Trump supporters genuinely feel that way, whatever he did, because we've seen he's now been indicted 4 times. He's a civilly liable rapist. When he was in office, his only major accomplishment was cutting taxes disproportionately for those at the top of the economic ladder, not serving his working class supporters. And he's running on this openly authoritarian platform that promises to lock up his political opponents and to go after media outlets he doesn't like, and to use the military on the streets to crush demonstrations against him. And so if all of that is fine with them, yeah, I guess the assassination of a political opponent, as that guy just admitted, would be okay with some of them. And that's what Trump's lawyers argued. Remember, they argued in court that a president should have total immunity, including assassinating their political opponent if they're not impeached and convicted in the House and Senate. Here's another.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
I think,
and this requires a little bit of context. This supporter is pro-choice, but doesn't seem to be aware of Trump's anti-choice record.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
I think it's your own choice.
Yeah.
You can't really decide.
Yeah. You don't want.
You don't know what the situation is.
So you consider yourself pro-choice?
Yes, pro-choice.
Are you upset that Donald Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade and took that choice away from so many people?
I don't think it should be taken away, no.
And it doesn't bother you that Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade?
It doesn't bother me at all. I think he's the best man for the job. We have nobody else that is...
But he did take away the choice for a lot of women because of that. That doesn't bother you. Now women don't have that choice.
He must have something in place. If he made that decision, he's a great businessman, and I'm not going to go... You know, he's a great businessman, and I'm going to let him say what he wants to say, do what he wants to do.
What are your thoughts on it?
So there it is again. The conclusion set in stone. However we get there, flexible. Totally flexible. But we just have to get to the conclusion of Trump's great. He has a plan for everything. All is well. And on that, Trump is one of the most destructive single individuals to the reproductive rights of women in American history, because his election led to the justice getting on to the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. And that was a promise of Trump's, and it happened. And so for someone who identifies as pro-choice to not go, yeah, I know that about him, but I just don't weigh that issue as importantly, but instead to go, no, but he has a plan. Again, a sort of godly type phrase. No, but I don't understand it, but he has a plan, I'm sure. He's stripping away the rights of women, but that's going to lead to them having more rights probably. There's some plan, and that is really, really unfortunate to see. And then one more.
Donald Trump becomes president. What would you like to see him do to Democrats?
Escort him to the gallows.
Really? You want him to kill his political opponents?
I did. You asked me what I wanted to see.
Right, but you want to see Trump kill his political?
Justice done.
Okay. What would they be sent to the gallows for?
Treason.
So the other guy was saying, I'd still vote for Trump if he had his political opponent killed. This guy's saying, I want him to kill his political opponents. So again, this is not representative of all of the Republican Party, not even all of MAGA, but it's present, and it's concerning how present it is. And we talked about polling about almost half of election deniers, which is 70% of the Republican Party, election deniers comprise, and then half of that believe that violence is going to be justified to enact political ambitions. And so there is a scary phenomenon here. And that's why it is important to keep an eye on it. And all we can do is vote, is make sure that the peaceful and pro-democratic candidates prevail. I'll leave it there. Big credit to The Good Liars, doing great work. You can find them, The Good Liars, across social platforms, and definitely do that. And let me know what you thought of all that in the comments.